Hello and welcome to my new podcast. The reason I started this project is because I want to be of more service to my audience directly. What that means is that each episode I want a member of my audience, you, to be a guest on my podcast, and we can talk about anything you want that you believe I can help you with. These are basically free coaching calls. We can talk about anything the guest wants as long as he believes that I'm competent in that field. And of course, the reason the coaching calls are recorded is so you can listen to them and benefit from the same information. Now, if you want to be a guest on my podcast, you can. Follow me on Instagram and look for the post where I announce that I'm looking for a new guest. If you fit the podcast requirements linked in my Instagram bio, you have to read the podcast requirements, and you are available at the time I'll be recording the podcast, comment on the picture saying you want to be a guest. After 24 hours, I randomly choose someone from the comments to be the next guest. If that happens to be you, you get to be on this podcast. My guest for this episode is Mehmet. He was born in Turkey and now lives in the United States. Mehmet is very passionate about fitness and has the goal of building a body like Brad Pitt in the movie Snatch. Unfortunately, his progress was stunned a few weeks ago when he injured his arm in a wrestling accident. He had to take surgery for that, otherwise his shoulder was in danger of popping out of its socket. We recorded the podcast shortly after his surgery, and Mehmet wanted to talk to me about how he could come back to the gym when his arm recovered. In 2016, I too had to take a 6-month break from lifting due to illness and surgery, so he wanted to ask me several things about nutrition and training. This episode is pretty random, we go back and forth between nutrition and training, but I hope you'll enjoy it regardless. Alright, well Mehmet, what can I help you with? What is your first question?
My first question was, how much protein do I need? Since I'm on injury right now, how much protein would I need to I know I'm gonna lose muscle, but just to maintain a good amount.
Well, you aren't working out at all at the moment.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, well, in that case, I would say you can eat around between 100 and 120 grams per day, something like that. I don't think you need more.
Really?
Well, you can eat more. I just don't think it's going to make that much of a difference because you're not training, you're going to lose muscle anyway. And 100 grams, above 100 grams, maybe close to 120, basically covers all your protein needs at rest.
I just learned something new.
Because you are eating a lot more?
Actually, since I weigh 170, I was trying to get 0.82 gram per pound body weight.
Well, how much is that? Isn't that close to 120?
140.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, it's
So-
in that range. I don't think 20 grams of protein makes that much of a difference, but it probably does if you're training really hard and you're bulking or you're cutting to very low percentages of body fat. But other than that, I really do not think that we need as much protein as is promoted online.
All right, the next question was BCAAs. Do you think they're any helpful on a low protein diet? Because I started taking some because I was getting the sufficient amount of protein.
I think they are not necessary if you eat high quality protein sources, meaning if you eat animal products such as meat, cheese, eggs, fish, then you're getting lots of leucine, which is one of the brand chain amino acids, and you probably do not need BCAAs on top of that. I would say that maybe the people that would benefit slightly from taking BCAAs would be vegans that eat only low quality protein sources, that don't even take maybe pea protein powder or rice protein powder or even soy protein powder. Because for example, if you take a blend of pea and rice protein, that is almost as good as whey, and it gives you all the essential amino acids, and you do not need BCAAs on top of that. The same is true for soy protein powders. But if you eat just potatoes and broccoli and mushrooms and maybe nuts, I would say maybe in that case BCAAs would be helpful. But I assume that you have a balanced diet, you eat
Yeah.
most protein sources, in that case, I don't think you need them.
What about, do you recommend taking BCAAs before training on empty stomach, or like when would you recommend it bestly?
The person that started the trend of taking BCAAs before fasted training, I think, is Martin Borkian from Lean Gains, and he knows what he's talking about. The research probably indicates that if you take BCAAs before fasted training, you reduce muscle catabolism, and you may prevent some muscle loss during training, or you maximize protein synthesis after that. But I think that you can just as well drink a protein shake before training, or you can eat something, a sandwich before training. It's almost the same thing, because you just want to have some food in your body before you train. Unless people have to train very early in the morning, I don't see a reason to do fasted workouts, because they probably do not improve fat loss, they probably do not improve fat mobilization, or maybe they do, but it makes such a small difference that you don't even notice it in average people. Maybe at elite levels you may see, I don't know, a pound of extra fat loss over the course of a diet because you do fasted training, but it's really not that much. And if it's inconvenient for you to train fasted, then you have to always think about, oh, I need to take BCAAs before, or I need to have protein before, then you can just do fed training. It's the same thing.
I actually had to stop doing intermittent fasting because I had to take my medication after the surgery. And the thing is, when I stopped doing intermittent fasting, like it didn't like I was obsessed with it, so I made it into a religion. But once I stopped, I mean, I still had like the same body image, like nothing really changed.
Exactly. I actually don't do intermittent fasting right now either. And it was exactly for that reason, because when I got sick and I had surgery and I had to take medication for 6 months, I had to take medication in the morning, at noon, and at night, 3 times a day. And there were a lot of pills, and I couldn't take them on an empty stomach. I had to eat before. So I had to eat at 7 or 8 in the morning in order to take the pills after that. And I had to do that for 6 months. And I realized that this actually allowed me to have breakfast with my girlfriend at home. And it didn't really increase my hunger, and it didn't, my body fat levels didn't go up. And I realized that I maybe have formed the good habits of staying lean from doing intermittent fasting for more than 2 years. So I could try a different diet structure right now, and it's probably the same case for you, because if you didn't really notice a difference in body fat levels, you're staying lean, and you're not really hungry, then you do not need to do intermittent fasting. Maybe it helps if you ever want to go very, 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 very lean. I mean, less than 8% body fat or something like that. In that case, it probably helps, because your calories would get smaller and smaller, and so you would have to eat less and less as you get lean. And intermittent fasting would allow you to have larger meals and probably feel more satisfied after each meal.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Oh yeah, how did you recover on your surgery? Like, what did you start off doing as a workout? Did you start lifting heavy, or like do body weight training?
No, I actually started with the routine I was using before the surgery. It's the main routine from my Shred Smart program, and I just started the routine, but I started with very low weights. When you do not train for more than 6 months, you probably have lost most of your strength, and you have to start from the beginning, a fresh slate. The good news is that you gain strength really, really fast. I actually surpassed my previous records in, I think, 4 months after I restarted lifting. You gain strength incredibly fast when you come back to lifting after a layoff.
Wow, I didn't know that. I mean, that's something to look forward to.
You may be tempted to increase the weights faster because you know that you could handle the weights in the past, and you may want to increase the progression model. Instead of adding just 5 pounds to the bar, you may want to add 10. And that is the only tendency that you need to keep in check. Because if you do that, then you'll see that your strength goes up every week, and you only need maybe 10 to 20 weeks until you get back to the weights that you were lifting previously.
Yeah. But so you're saying in 4 months I'll be back to my old self, right?
In your case, it may be faster, it may be slower, but I don't think it should take more than half a year.
Yeah. How were you eating? Were you eating in a surplus?
When I was recovering, I was eating intuitively because I didn't really know how much of a surplus I needed to gain muscle and prevent fat gain as well. So I was eating mostly based on hunger. And honestly, this is something that I would recommend you do as well. Of course, not go completely overboard because you probably have some awareness of how many calories you're eating every day. Don't eat 3,000 calories every day. But if you want to use a calculated approach, you could just put yourself in a surplus. You calculate your maintenance at your current body weight, and you eat maybe 10 to 15% more calories. And you should aim to gain 1 to 1.5 kilograms per month. That would be 3 to 4 pounds per month.
Oh yeah, when you're cutting down to 8% body fat, like how was it easier for you? Did you just track your protein and your calories and like forget about the carbs and fats?
Yes, I only tracked protein and calories. And I allowed fats and carbs to fluctuate between days because I realized on some days I wanted fatter foods, and on some days I wanted more veggies, more potatoes, more carbs. And by doing it that way, you actually decrease the severity of the diet, the difficulty of the diet, because you have more leeway in terms of what foods you can allow in your diet each day.
I think we got I think what I want to get to. Oh yeah, training until failure. I know you made a video about this, but I wasn't sure what you meant by doing like you said never to train until failure. Like you would want to do like 6 reps for 3 sets.
Yeah, I think training to failure is unproductive because after you fail a set, then you are really fatigued for the rest of the workout. Instead, a better idea would be to stop every set 1 or 2 reps before you hit failure. So leave at least half a rep in the tank. And instead of going to failure, what you can do is you can do an extra set. For example, maybe in your third set, you were planning to do 8 reps, but you could only do 6, but you avoided failure. Then you can just do a fourth set where you do another set of 5 or 6, again, not until failure. You compensate for those 2 reps that you weren't able to do, and you do a productive set instead of one that you take to failure.
When you were leaning down, you noticed your arms getting smaller, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, was there like a specialty that you did to like maintain your arm size?
I don't think there's much you can do. It depends a lot on your genetic disposition, where your body fat is stored. For example, I am pretty blessed to store fat evenly when I get fat. A lot of fat is actually stored in my arms, and when I'm fatter, my arms look bigger. But I know that size is not muscle. So when I cut, I know that everything is going to get smaller. Back, arms, chest, neck, everything, because I store fat evenly. And for some people, they may not store fat in their arms. I know that some people actually have really vascular arms when they're around 18% body fat, but they have really big bellies and they store a lot of fat around the waist. And I don't think that is something that you can control. All you can do is hope that your arms won't get very slim when you get lean, but that is only something that you can find out by actually doing it, by experimenting.
I mean, yeah, okay, I could understand that. I think we went all over everything that I wanted to go over. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, thank you, Mehmet, for coming on the podcast, and I really hope that you got some value out of it. Share it with your friends if you want,
I'll
and thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Radu. Like, I am really excited to be on this podcast. I was waiting. I didn't think my comment would have got picked. I was really surprised. I couldn't like sleep at night.
Really?
Yeah, I was so excited. I only got like probably what 2 3 hours of sleep. Then I woke up. I'm
Awesome.
really crap. I'll be on a podcast.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, Mehmet. See you next time.
All right. See you.
Bye bye.